Alpayim Shana Kodma Teira Leilam. So the Rebbe Taka explains that Alpayim is the Darga of Alpayim, what it means. It means Chochmet, it means Bina, which is mentioned in the Bar Mitzvah Maimah. And as the Rebbe explains, an interesting word, the Rebbe relates it to Lekutei Teira, that the Maimorim that the Tzemach Tzedek compiled from Lekutei Teira, were originally 2,000 Maimorim. And the Alter Rebbe shows, the Tzemach Tzedek shows 190 Maimorim. 191 Maimorim, which is an erech, a tenth of Lekutei Teira, of the 2,000 Maimorim. This is what the Tzemach Tzedek prepared for the Lekutei Teira.
Do they still have all the other ones?
Yeah, there are all these volumes that were printed separately. You have Tafel Samad Beis, Tafel Samad Gimel, Tafel Samad Dalet, Samad Chet, 27 volumes. This is basically what it is. Now, what I'm thinking is something else. When we say over there in the Maimer, it says Kodmo also in Maila. The word is that's basically miyusad also on a Medrash in Chumash. It says in Medrash, or Megillah. It says in Medrash that when Haman gave the Shkolim, gave the money to Achashverosh, so it says that the Shas Haman gave the money, a Baskel came out and says, Shikleim Kodmu Kvar Kodmu Shikleim L'Shiklecha. Their money, Yidden's Shkolim, came before your Shkolim already, because they gave Machzis HaShekel. Which this is the reason we give Machzis HaShekel right before Purim. Because this is to show how the Machzis HaShekel of Yidden were earlier than Machzis HaShekel of the Shkolim, the Hazl of Haman. So the question is, what's the Zushtel here? What says they were earlier? What did they accomplish? The word is because they were earlier, they were also in quality, they had a priority. They had a priority, we see over here. Because they came earlier, so the Eibishter said, Kvar Kodmo. They were ready earlier, and the Mele Haman won't accomplish anything. Because whatever they need to accomplish, they already accomplished.
Same with Avraham.
That the Vayashkin, that by Avraham Avinu was the union of Vayashkin.
First impression.
Yeah, was the union of the Ashkona. So the Mele, the Rebbe continues. We came move on, we understand from that, Shehasogas v'yediach haneshama Haneshamas Gdeila Shalei Be'erech Masagas V'Yidiyas HaMalachim. From this we understand that the understanding and the knowledge of Neshamas is Shalei Be'erech greater than the understanding and knowledge of Malachim. Which means the two things. One is our Sogya, the understanding, and the second one is their background, Pasha, their knowledge, the Yidiyah.
Neshamas as opposed to people?
Neshamas as opposed to Malachim.
Well, what are we talking about? Neshamas as in Gomel?
The Maila. Machshavten shel Yisrael kodma l'chol davar. If I don't speak only about neshamas, that is l'mayla. But the word is there's two things here. There's side union of Asog and Yediyah, which is al derech like the Alter Rebbe brings in Hilchos Talmud Torah. There's two mitzvahs. There's the mitzvah to learn. I mean, the Rambam brings it and mentions it as a mitzvah, and there's the mitzvah to know. Yachtzach Yediyah satei. The mitzvah to learn is Yisab Yediyah. And that's why the Alter Rebbe deals with a person that Achmanas don't forget. Forgetful person. So he's finding different eitzes, different ideas how the person, to help the person remember what he's learning. Because there's an obligation to know Yediyas HaTeira. In addition to learn, in addition to the studying itself. And especially as our sages said, the neshamas are engraved under the heavenly throne. So the Mele, the neshamas on a higher level yet the malachim. Well, the Mailam is there, and even we're speaking even on a higher level yet. So they were drawn down from the Eibishter's machshava, like a son that comes from the father. That Hashem has blown in this soul of life into Adam Rishon, and one that blows, the man the nafach matechi nafach. A person that blows, it comes from his depth. It's not like somebody speaks. When somebody speaks, it says also nafshe yotze bidabre, that his nefesh goes out with his speech, but it's not in such an obvious way, and not so direct, like someone that blows, that he's blowing out his whole energy into what he's blowing. So the same sense that the neshama is coming, the same sense that when a person blows, it comes from the depth of the person. In the same sense, the neshama that was blown into the person is from the depths Shalamayla, from Hashem. And as we see it also, Memeach Ha'av, from the meach, from the brain of the person, because this is the sperm that's given over, that's transferred from the father. So B'meila, it all starts from the brain of the person. Memeach Ha'av.
So Hashem, anyway, used speech to create man. So why did he have to do both?
There's two things. There's the Nasa Adam B'Tzalmeinu, so he took offer from an Adama, and this is, I mean, the Alter Rebbe mentions in Teireh that this is the Chidush by the creation of Adam, different than all different creations. All different creations, the body and the soul are related one to another. They're in close range one to another. If it's Tzemech, when it comes to Adam, you have Damen, which is sand, completely the lowest level, and then you have Medaber, which is the highest level. So this is basically connecting together. It was Vayipach Ba'apov, but it blew in to connect it together. And from there, from that level, the neshama descended a great descent. V'atzuma, not just a great descent, but v'atzuma, a strong one. One is quantity, one is quality. In both there was a descent. Ukenira b'pashtus, as it is obvious. When the neshama descends lamato and encloses in the guf, which means not that the neshama stands out, the neshama is covered by the garment of the body. When the child is born, it is not shaykh to understand anything yet. The child is still not developed, and it takes a few years till it matures, and then it starts understanding, and then it's coming in a full way, and then it can relate to people, then it can start speaking. There's an elevation with in a sequence, certain sequence. When the child starts to learn speaking, so then the father teaches him Teira Tziva Gema, Eishes and Nekudas, Eishes and Nekudas. Here comes the Inyan, the whole thing from the Rebbe there, teach it separate, teach it together. Today's Machanchim have a whole confusion about it. But there's, I think, letters about it, Benegir to the teaching, Bezunder, the Nekuda, Eishes and Nekudas. And as the Rebbe once said, that the reason that we start with Kometz Alafah is to remind a child the Kometz Alafah of Anechi Hashem Elokecha. Beginning of Aseret HaDibros, the 10 Commandments. That's why we start with the Kometz. First Nekuda, we teach a child, well, is a Kometz.
I don't understand what comments mean. What does that have to do with Anochi?
Because the Kometz of Anechi, Anechi starts with the Kometz. The Aleph, it's Kometz Alafah. So it's Anechi Hashem Elokecha. So what does he teach him? Teira Tziva Gema. Eishes and Nekudas. V'achakach ben Chomesh Shonim Lemikra, 5 years old. Chumash ben Eser Lemishna, 10 years old Mishnah. Ben Chamesh Eser Legemara, 15 years old Gemara. V'achem Agil ben Arboim Lebina Chula. He reaches ben Arboim Lebina, 40. He has Bina, which is an intuition, which Bina is already the Shleimus, because Bina is considered Lahavin Davar Metech Davar. That not only he understands something that's related to him, but he understands something from something else, which means he's already also reading between the lines. So this is the Inyan of Bina, Mevin Davar Metech Davar. This is the Shleimus. Shleimus is the Inyan of Bina, and that's why at 40 years old a person could pass in Halacha. There's many Inyanim that start by 40, and that's why the Seder was to learn Inyanim of Kabbalah. It's 40 years old. There's many Inyanim that are connected with the Inyan of 40 in Chazal. But it's all based, the Inyan of Ben Arbaim Lebina, which is the intuition that a person has to understand Davar Metech Davar. And as Siddur explains, it doesn't mean only one thing from another, but Metech Davar, to understand something from inside something else.
Why is Bina connected to 50?
40.
Nun Shari Bina.
Nun Shari Bina is a besondere Sache. But here the Inyan of Arboim is connected with the Inyan of Bina. Arboim, the person is very developed, because Arboim, it says the Inyan of 4 Meichen. Chochma Bina Das, and Das Gufa is broken into Chesed and Gvura.